Here, it's Halloween, my favourite time to crack open an Easter egg, and also the only time of the year when it's socially acceptable to chase someone down the street with a steak knife. It's scary what people do for a cheap thrill around this time of year, but if you want to know what the scariest thing of all is, then you won't have to look far. If you're holding a copy of Disney's Donald Duck PK for the PS2, who knew licensed games could be so scary? You know, I'm feeling in the mood to wail like a banshee, so we might as well take a look at some of these. Whoops, I just remembered I have surgery next week and I do not need bad luck. Now, I'm not one to believe in superstitions, I just really need to find a use for this lucky number generator which I bought. Let's see now. 10 plus 3 equals 13. See, this wasn't such a worthless purchase after all.
So first of all, we might as well start off with the number before 13. 10? Why? Because first years don't exist anymore. Oh, Teletubbies, this game is a 7. Ben 10, Protector of the Earth, based on the show Ben 10, where you get to turn into a bunch of different aliens. I would say 10, but it only took them 15 episodes to get the title of the franchise wrong. The story of the game starts off with Ben having all of the aliens stolen from the Omnitrix by Filgax, and then the liar's able to turn into forearms and heat blast straight away. Oh, but don't worry, soon after you retrieve the rest of your aliens, and you're able to turn into all 5 of your aliens. See, I told you this kid was a liar. You travel across locations from all over the 5 states of America against every single villain there is in the cartoon. Some people might call this fan service. Because of this fan service, the story is mucked up. Having so many characters from a licensed franchise in a game isn't an uncommon thing, and unlike this game, it is usually done as a quick cash grab. But with stuff like how all of the voice actors from the cartoon voiced their own characters instead of sounding like they were going through puberty, and the fact that they replicated the art style of the cartoon so well, honestly, this is one of the PS2 games that holds up the best in terms of graphics. There's also the fact that this game has been made by the same guys who made White Men Can't Jump. You see, this is how I learned Mario isn't real. All of the 5 aliens you're able to turn into have so many combos which you're able to do, which all have their own unique animations. Something which Pokemon could learn from this game. The combat doesn't just come down to see how many buttons you can press in a matter of a second, no matter if it's normal enemies or a boss. The fights are broken up with light platforming and puzzle solving. Unless you can solve a puzzle within 0.5 seconds, then the game will just tell you how exactly to solve it with its major hand holding. Looks like Pokemon learned the wrong lesson from this game.
I don't understand. This game's actually good. But I thought all licensed games were supposed to be festering piles of lazy corporate greed. It can't be a licensed game, but it's Ben 10. I just don't understand.
But then again, Arnold Schwarzenegger did say that there's an exception to every rule when he played Rocky Balboa in the 2026 Rocky reboot. I guess this is the exception. Well, Game 2 is bound to be following the formula. Transformers the game. Yeah, if it's a game, why does it have a movie rating? But this is more like it. I knew there were bad licensed games out there. Transformers the game is set in an open world, but somehow feels linear with its levels. All you do is race and fight and race and fight. The racing part might control well. I mean, I'm not the one you should ask about that, but the combat just comes down to mindless brawling, even though you have guns, but the guns are inaccurate, so there's no point in using them. Great work, Activision, can always rely on you. But the game's not 100% completely bad, as the Decepticon missions where you get to destroy stuff are okay, as most of the environment is destroyable. Well, we gotta try with Transformers again, as it has been a bit of a hotspot so far. So let's try again with Transformers. You really couldn't think of a title to differentiate this from any of the other games. The game, if you didn't know, is based on the Transformers Armada TV show, in which one of the main objectives was to capture the Minicons, little tiny baby Transformers that give bigger Transformers more powers. In the game, you explore open sandbox levels as one of 3 Transformers in search of the Minicons, but there's no point to exploring these areas or fighting most of the enemies, as you don't get anything from doing them. All you should do is find and rescue the Minicons and beat the boss at the end. But the game is fun to play considering it only costs 50p, and it doesn't look like a bulldog chewing on wasps, but I just wanna know. What went wrong when you were making this game, Activision? I thought I could rely on you to make bad games. So what, next you're gonna say EA makes good games too? Never mind. Sorry, Activision, I read the label wrong. Atari made this game. See, I knew you could rely on you, Activision. What were you thinking? I thought you guys were dead?
Nope, they just keep on trucking. But Transformers the game almost got the formula right for a licensed game, but I just found out about a Transformers game which is just about the Dinobots, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis.
Now, I couldn't tell you why they didn't just call the game Transformers Dinobots, but I also couldn't tell you why they decided to make it a park building simulator as well. The game is all about starting out with a dream to have the best theme park in the world, achieved through hatching dinosaurs, building attractions, keeping the dinosaurs healthy, keeping the visitors happy and meeting their every needs, and maybe, just maybe, you get that coveted 5-star rating. Or you could just let all the dinosaurs run rampant out of their cages on a murder spree and charge 10 quid for the bathrooms.
Yeah, I can't understand why Barry's rejected my inquiry to become the new park manager. I'd make a great park manager.
There's also a mission mode where you do missions that range from shooting dinosaurs to taking pictures of them to prove that they're real dinosaurs. Thankfully, they haven't heard of Photoshop yet. Some people have said that this game looks bad and the dinosaurs look unrealistic. My counter argument is that dinosaurs went extinct before you were born, so how do you know what they looked like, you idiot? For all you know, this could be a dinosaur.
You know, this is one of the most emotionally conflicting games I've ever played. On the one hand, I've always wanted a great Transformers game, even though the first time I played it was when I was 9. But on the other, I just want to feel the horrors of a bad licensed game. And the only one which has even been a wee bit bad is about robots. So, we might as well take a look at another one about robots with Robot Wars Arenas of Destruction.
So when we pop up in the case, we see this one disc that won't be played in Biden's house. Robot Wars is a TV series that ran from 1998 to 2004 that was then brought back in 2016 only for it to die again in 2018 that aired on the BBC about how people spend a bunch of time building a robot that'll get destroyed in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I love seeing dreams and ashes.
So obviously the game had to have a system where you're able to build your own robots to fight with, and I must say, if you thought Spore's character creation was complicated, then I'll have you know, you need an engineering degree to understand this one. Though you can buy all of your favourite robots from the show, such as Driller Thriller, the Boo Rock, and Xmas Destroyer. None of these were from the show, were they? That's unfair. There are robots from the show, an entire 10 of them, with all the others being pre-made robots for those of us who got held back a couple of years. Though there is one exception, being Thor, the winning entry from a contest in the Robot Wars magazine, where the winning entry would get created in the game with its own unique look, like the other real ones. Now finally, to the actual matches. Is this a good game?
No.
But is it fun?
Yes. Regrettably.
In the main mode, Championship mode, you compete in tournaments from all over the world in different arenas to win money, which you put towards building better robots or entering other competitions. Other modes include free play and the worst version of Capture the Flag this game has to offer. Each arena is filled with traps such as the pit, a drill, a roof windy, otherwise known as a bigger pit, and the house robots, which are just big robots. When you get into the actual matches, it is one of the most buggy, broken, and unfair games that I've played, where this is a good thing. It adds to the experience along with such classic comedic lines such as
This kind of attack. My word! There's bits of robot all over the arena! The titanium armor, not as effective against that impact as they'd like. The Kevlar armor, giving it great protection though. Trying hard to cut through the Kevlar. Not too hard to cut into the aluminium, but it's putting up a brave fight. The aluminium shell, very flimsy protection against this onslaught. The titanium standing up well to the punishment. This is classic Robot Wars!
the way to win is to survive the time limit with the least amount of damage taken or to destroy your opponent. In between matches in a tournament, you get a 20-minute period in which to fix your robot, but there's only one thing you need to worry about: movement. If it can move, it can win. It's just chaotic fun. This will never be played competitively, but one game that will be played competitively is The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers is a hack and slash based on the first 2 movies. So why didn't they tell you that in the game title? That's false advertising. It makes me mad to think that EA tricked me into thinking this game was lacking in content when it wasn't. Oh wait, never mind. I beat this game in under 4 hours. You're able to play as 3 characters, being Gimli, Aragorn and Legolas. If you beat the game as these 3 characters, you unlock a secret character, being Isildur. You already play as him in the tutorial. All of the battles are based on scenes from the 2 movies, apart from one, but they've done a really good job at recreating the looks of the scenes from the movie. But because of this, the story has massive gaps in it, which is okay, as the game was for people who had watched the movies. The main thing you want to do in the combat is to get as high a rating as possible for each enemy kill, so you get more experience to buy more combos and upgrades to earn more XP. But this is useless, as the better combos leave you more open to attacks, and the levels don't have checkpoints, meaning that you'll just spam your normal attacks, leaving the combat feeling repetitive, for me at least. There were also exclusive interviews that came with the game. This apparently was a big selling point at the time, of course. Now all it takes is a quick Google search. Overall, this isn't a bad game. In fact, it's good for a licensed game compared to everything else at the time.
If they were to tweak a few things here and there for a sequel based on the third game, then it could be a really good game. I just jinxed myself, didn't I?
You know what? Fine. Let's get this out of the way. This is a good game. But if I find one thing wrong with it, I won't hesitate to do what I must. You're able to play as the 8 members of the Fellowship of the Ring that are still alive, and Faramir. But not Gollum. I knew this game was the worst. Do you know how much better a game about Gollum would be? Each of the characters had all of the stunt doubles for the actors to do the motion capture for the animations of the fighting, but all the characters control pretty much the same, so this makes it that all the characters are easy to learn, while also still feeling different to play. Except with the hobbits, they just cloned Sam 4 times. When we start to play, you realise that they fixed my main problem with the game. The combos actually work. Too well this time. This is because of a little thing called Banes, which allows you to one-hit kill enemies. While yes, not every enemy has a Bane for them, the vast majority do. And what's even better is they always give a perfect score, meaning you'll never run out of XP this time, but you'll never use anything else but Banes. Except on hard, XP is mucked up there. There are 3 different story paths to take, with areas from the movie being recreated just as well as the last game. The story's just as choppy as the last game though. No one plays the game for the story, go read the book.
Okay, we're more than halfway through, but I think I found a way to beat the system. You see, I've been choosing games and stuff that I like, so if I just choose a game based on the worst movie of all time, of course it's going to be horrible too. Fred, it's your turn. They made 3 of these. Okay, so it turns out there isn't a game based on the movie. I don't know whether to be overjoyed or depressed, but I just want to wet myself with fear. So from now on, we're choosing it with a random picker. So up first is Blue Blistering Barnacles. I really like this game.
James Cameron's Avatar the game. Remember, this is his one and not the other one. James Cameron wanted the game not to spoil the movie, so the plot happens 2 years before the movie, and it's not that great. It does the whole Fire Emblem GBA thing of having a character talk to you after you've already killed them. It works for the game, but it's not winning any Oscars, which is fitting as the movie didn't win one either. At the start of the game, they give you a feel for both the human and the Navi playstyles, with the human being a third-person shooter and the Navi a hack and slash. At the end of this level, you're given the choice whether to play as a Navi or the humans. The first time I ever played this game, I picked the Navi due to the fact that in the first level, your gun has unlimited ammo. Somebody might say that I made a really bad conclusion there, but come on, that was some level of false advertising there. The combat for the Navi obviously has a much bigger focus on melee weapons, but it does have some ranged weapons such as the gun and the bow. The melee weapons work pretty well, but instead of locking onto a target, they hit where you aim, which is how weapons work in real life, so this is already more realistic combat system than most other games. The gunplay for the humans, if you've played any other shooter from the 7th generation, then you've played the human campaign. This isn't bad, it works pretty well, it's just nothing special for the time. A nice little detail that happens in the background is that enemies actually do fight each other, and you could ignore them, and they continue to fight each other. This makes it seem like there's an actual war going on instead of just a bunch of people going, "Oh, shank that guy, shank that guy!" You also have special skills, which make the combat not feel boring. However, there are no special skills for only one of the sides, with them all being the same, just with a different name. Each level is a large area that consists of corridors connecting open areas you travel around in a non-linear way. So unless you have the speed boost ability equipped, then you're going to need a mount if you're playing as the Navi or vehicles for the humans. But you can't attack with most of the mounts. This would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that all the vehicles can attack. So obviously the game had to have online multiplayer, being a 7th generation game, though the servers were closed down so you can't play this mode anymore. There's also Conquest mode. That's all really I can say about that.
So on to our next game, and now that I can't trust the lucky number generator, I'm just going to have to pick a game based on something that I like, but that I haven't played before. So here's The Adventures of Tintin, Secret of the Unicorn, kids.
By looking at the cover, I just want to know why someone let their dog have a go at it. Oh, that's why. Motion controls, am I right? If I had to explain this game in one word, then the English language needs to invent a word that means boring, repetitive, and easy without a space in between them. Tintin was a comic book series that became one of the best cartoon series ever, that became a movie, that became a video. Honestly, the only form of media it hasn't had a story told through is the radio. Oh wow, BBC. And all of them have been great, except this game. But that means we finally have another bad game to join Transformers as a bad licensed game. Here, but what makes this game so bad? Well, the platforming is some of the worst I've ever seen for a 2D platformer. Not because it's broken hard, but because it's tedious. Yeah, that's the word I need. The puzzles are so easy that anyone with skin could do them. The only redeeming quality for the game is its story, and you could just watch the movie for that. Well, we're back up to one bad licensed game, and for our next one, we have The Last Airbender. I made sure it was based on the movie instead of the cartoon, just to guarantee that it was bad. See, they didn't call it by the show's name Avatar, just in case you thought it was James Cameron's Avatar. At our first side of the game, we get to see... Well, this is a nice face. It looks like a bulldog chewing wasp. But honestly, the game doesn't look too bad for a 3D game on the DS, but the gameplay is so little to it that Wikipedia could sum it up in 66 words. Honestly though, there's only one thing holding this game back from being okay, and that's the controls. They're just awful. It's what makes the game bad all by itself. But at least it's better than the movie.
So with 2 bad licensed games in a row, things are finally going up. But this game had a sequel called Avatar: The Legend of Aang, The Burning Earth. We're hitting 3 in a row, boys.
Unfortunately, I only have this game loose. I hope nothing bad happens from this tragedy.
Why does this game look like the cartoon? No!
It turns out this is a sequel from another Avatar game. Yeah, who knew there was more than one? And it just has to be good. Thanks THQ, it's no wonder you shut down. The story of the game is split into chapters, with each chapter being based on an episode of the show. As for the actual game, you get to play as Aang, Katara, Sokka and Toph, whom all have their own fighting style built around their bending style, except for Sokka, he's just boomerang. They each have a standard attack and a couple of special attacks, which uses bending points to pull off, even though Sokka doesn't use bending. You enter a fight by bumping into an enemy and enter a battle mode, which works just like a beat 'em up. I don't see why you couldn't just fight enemies in the overworld, as you just fight them in the same area that you found them in.
Overall, this game's another dud. It's just too good. Do you want to know the real horrors of licensed games? That there's so many good ones. But I have 2 slots left, and there's a game out there that is so bad it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. And of course, that would be Jumanji for the PS2.
You would think that because the game came out in 2007, 12 years after the movie in 1995, that it would be made carefully with love and care. You'd be 100% wrong. Seriously, the only info I could find on the game that wasn't in the manual is that their developer Blast has never made a good game. Well, that's a great start. Let's have a look at the box. Take your turn, Well, at least they got the basics down. Now, usually I would say that to have your licensed game be based on a board game would be a bad thing, but this is one of the only times when it was the best option, as the main focus on the movie is off a board game. So that just makes it a terrible idea. It says they have 12 mini-games, which is pretty dreadful already, but there's really only 6 with 2 variants for each. Basically, if you like Mario Party 10, then you'll love this game. Now, Mario Party 5, that's a bit of a stretch.
What? How's that for it? Move me back to the start. What happened to take your turn? It happened again. It can't be a glitch. Alright, that's it. This game is awful. Which is exactly what I wanted. You know, it's been pretty disappointing. We've only had 4 truly bad licensed games. But I have 1 slot left. And there is a game out there which has put fear into many a person's hearts. It's been the template that was used for such classically bad games as Top Gun for the NES and Superman 64. At one point, it even destroyed gaming almost forever. What would this game be? Well, of course, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh, I'm so excited about this game. Out of all the franchises that would be this bad, who would have thought it would have been Star Wars? I mean, I don't care, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I can't wait to experience this game's fun and well-designed combat system, a fair amount of well-made maps, a good amount of characters and ships from the movies, everything unlocked from the start, a way of unlocking the ability to play as characters in the middle of a match in a way that feels rewarding, even if it is far too easy. Is this a good game? EA, what went wrong here? I don't care if the game was bad at launch, It doesn't affect me now. Sure, the story's short and bad, but this game is actually good. How EA made this? EA! They're supposed to make bad games. It's a licensed games. They're all licensed games. How are they good? Wait, I think I get it. All this time we've been judging these games based on the fact that they're from franchises that were not originally games. We've had some like Spider-Man PS4 and Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor that got a lot of positive reception, but most of the time they haven't. It started out with games like E.T. and the Atari 2600. We've all grown into this mindset that all licensed games are bad. Sure, most of the time the developers just see it as a quick way to make some cash and others rush it out to come out with the movie. But see, they see this as exceptional, because that's what we have come to expect. Most of the time we slander one of these games just because it sources from outside of the media. Licensed games. It's just a label. It doesn't instantly mean that the game is going to be trash, you know? I think I've learnt my lesson. Never judge a book by its cover. That's why I started reading I Have Aragorn, which seems to be a side story based on Aragorn from Lord of the Rings.
Well, that was a bad time for my dyslexia to kick in. You know, I've been having quite a lot of fun playing this game's single player offerings, so I think I might take it to the next level and go online. EA! You put microtransactions in a game! Best Halloween ever!